Yo, yo, yo! Welcome back. Welcome back. My. Yo, here we are. The 15th 2020 Controversial Conversation Fireside Chats. And if you know anything about me, you probably know that my favorite number has and always will be the number 15. Shouts out to my dog, Vince Carter. He is finally retiring, and well, for my 80s babies, my 90s kids, I need y'all to understand one thing. The NBA officially no longer has any player that entered before the 2000 draft. Oh no, we're getting old. Our players are turning into coaches, and it's just so crazy. But that's life. It moves. That's the circle, the cycle. You know, we learned that on Lion King. But anyways, there's a lot to talk about. And first and foremost, I just want to make one statement that I'm not sure how y'all will feel about, but it's the truth. Donald Trump is a nigga. Like, and I know y'all like, what? But like when you got like, three baby mamas and like all these kids, you got a warrant out for your arrest. You kind of just walk around with this undeserved sense of entitlement. Like you a nigga. You are a straight up nigga. So yeah, like it is what it is. Can we talk about this warrant? Like I know. All right, so Iran sends out a warrant saying like bring his ass over here because he killed Soleimani, and like he should truthfully be tried for that because that was a war crime, literal war crime. You killed this general for no other reason than the fact that you thought that you could, and you could. You got away with it, and it's just fucked up. Like, but the fact of the matter is that we have to remember like it's baseless. Like it's not gonna do anything. If it came from NATO, if it came from the UN, probably still wouldn't matter because Trump has presidential immunity and shit like that. So I don't really see anything really coming from it. But it brought up a very interesting point from certain political scholars and pundits and stuff like that, talking about this could go down a very, very dangerous road if we start allowing foreign adversaries and stuff like that to start trying to, subpoena and extradite fucking political or politicians and those kind of things, our leaders and stuff. And I'm sitting here like, hold up, we be having warrants for all kinds of motherfucking foreign leaders and rebels and all this other kind of stuff. We'll be fighting rebels, right? And then we'll legitimize them by allowing their name to be on the domestic or the actual terrorist list. And now they become like an actual group and stuff like that. And then we start sending out like, all right, we want this nigga's head. We want that motherfucker's head. And it's like, all right, FBI most wanted terrorist list, this, that, and the other. And we'd be having like generals and presidents and all kinds of stuff that we're trying to take down. And it's like, yeah, that seems pretty contradictory if you're going to say it's a dangerous road for them to do it to us if we've been doing it to them for so long. But, that's kind of like the American way. American hypocrisy kind of always finds its way to seep in, shit like that. And also, there's another report that the Russian officials had been trying to pay Afghan soldiers by putting bounties on American soldiers' heads. And there's conflicting timeline reports. Some say that the briefings were given as far back as 2019, and then some say that it was given back in March. But regardless, seeing as we're in July and he's just now saying something about it, really brings light to the fact that he was going to try to let this shit slide, which means one of two things. Either A, he is very, very complicit in allowing a lot of shit to happen, or B, he is incompetent as a motherfucker and needs to get the hell out of office. Y'all decide. But truthfully, it's sad because it shows that there is no real protection for soldiers. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just send them to war without a fuck to give. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, hopefully you make it back. Like, that's so piss poor. We take the worst care of them, from the VA to the fact that we see nothing but homeless people on the side saying, I serve this country, can I have $1? Like, tell me how fucking pathetic that is. And as somebody who has served, I feel an extra amount of just anger and frustration like having to watch this. But it's nothing compared to the feeling that I got when I woke up this morning and I was alerted to the news that it looks like the remains of Vanessa Guillen were found. And if you have not been paying attention, she was the 20-year-old Fort Hood soldier who went missing back in April. She'd been missing since then. She had been reporting to her mother and to other people that she had been sexually harassed, sexually assaulted. There was one soldier who would try to watch her when she was in the shower, and there were other incidents, and she reported these things. Next thing you know, she comes up missing. Well, fast forward to here we are. The remains have not been confirmed yet, but it all but points to it. They say that there's two suspects in custody, would be three, but apparently one of them killed himself in the pursuit of the, I guess, the subpoena or the warrant when the attorneys or the investigators were coming for him, and they let us know that this morning that one of the suspects has killed themselves. But y'all, I've been in the military, right? Like I just said, one of the things that the Army would consistently force us to do would be sharp training, like sexual harassment and rape prevention, I believe is what it's called. And we would consistently have to sit through these PowerPoints and be told you can't do this, you shouldn't do this, and if it's reported, we're going to take it serious. But it's not. It's never taken serious. And I came across a post today that I have to share with y'all because it really shows that female soldiers are not protected at all. Female airmen, female corpsmen, female, like any enlisted or officer or whatever female is being targeted. Not every one of them, but I'm saying there is no real protection for them. It's always, we're gonna help, we're gonna find it out. But then once it comes out, it's like, all right, well, maybe he didn't do it, or I know who that is, so I know he's not like that. No, you don't know he's not like that. You can't just go because you believe that a certain person is a way that they are, that you already have it in your mind. So anybody who tells you something completely contrary to that, you just dismiss. That's not how it's supposed to go, especially if you're in a position of authority or a position of leadership, or you have the ability to help somebody who is coming to you in need. Do not dismiss it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to read off a few of these. Now, trigger warning, because some of these are just very, very heartbreaking. Some of these are graphic, and some of these are just, well, all of them are just fucked up. But I have to let y'all know, like, this is me bringing awareness to the fact that this is an issue. This is not a one-off. This is something that is consistently happening. So first, there was this beautiful woman that was beaten, then chemical acid poured onto her genitalia, and then they ruled it a suicide. There was Lieutenant Corporal Stacy Dryden. She was apparently play fighting with a sailor, but that sailor never got charged for picking her up and slamming her head onto the concrete. Yeah. R.I.P. to U.S. Army's very own PFC Tina Priest. She was 20 years old. She called her mom to let her know that she had been raped and that no one was going to believe her. Shortly after, she died from a gunshot wound that the Army said she pulled on herself with her fucking toe. R.I.P. to U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Amy Turador, who the Army tried to say committed suicide after shooting herself in the back of the head. Ariana Clay is a former U.S. military corpsman, first lieutenant. She was gang raped by a senior officer and his civilian friend in her residence and was threatened with death. She made several reports of sexual harassment and requests for transfer, which were denied prior to the assault. U.S. Navy's Trina McDonald was 18 when she was stationed on a naval base in Alaska. She was drugged, raped, and abused repeatedly over the course of 8 months by friends and senior officers. She was silenced by them threatening to harm her family if she reported the assaults. R.I.P. U.S. Army Specialist Kamisha Block, who was shot by her abusive NCO boyfriend, and the Army lied to her family by saying she was killed by friendly fire while on deployment in Iraq from a single gunshot wound, even though her body had 5 wounds, including one in the head. Yo, these are not isolated incidents. This is a repeated set of circumstances that are happening. Women feel so unprotected, and they should. They're scared. Like, what can they do? I was sitting in this activist dinner on Monday, and one of the situations that we brought up that we were looking for, I guess, solutions and, problem solving methods for was rape and sexual assault. And the young lady who brought it up, she spoke so fervently, so passionately, so impassioned about the fact that why should she have to feel a certain level of threat just because she appreciates how she looks? Just because she wants to wear a certain thing? How in the hell is that code for I deserve to be raped? Y'all, we have got to do better. And it's not just a men thing, because trust me, men get raped at a very alarming rate and don't say anything. Sexual assault is the problem. Rape is the problem. Not believing victims is the problem. This sickens me. It fucking sickens me, because it makes me like think back to every time that, I was sitting in a briefing. Every time I was, standing in line or whatever. Every time I was in the defect. How many female soldiers did I walk by that had to hide what happened to them and just keep it moving? Like, it breaks my heart to think about the fact that I know so many women who have been molested. I can't come to terms and even grasp why this is why this shit is happening. Like, I'm almost at a loss for words, and y'all know me. I talk. I don't stop talking. I always have something to say, but when it comes to this, I'm speechless. I'm hurting. Like, I'm really, really hurting for these people who feel like they're helpless, who feel like they have no way of getting help, because every time that they say something, it's just being pushed aside. And I didn't intend on talking about this much, but y'all, I have to. I have to. So, we're going to keep up to date with this Vanessa Guillen situation, and any other situations that come out. We're going to talk about it. We can't be silent anymore. If what is going on has taught you one thing, from the George Floyd protests to everything else that is going on in the world, if you have not learned one thing, then learn this. Speak up, call it out, and don't be silent. Silence is violence. Y'all say that's a corny ass slogan, but I think you don't truthfully understand what it means. When you are allowing people to do stuff because you're too scared to call them out, and then it ends up leading to a violent act, or when you hear people that are homophobic or transphobic talking this and that, and then you find out that they ended up doing something, or even if they didn't do something, just the fact that you're allowing it to happen, being complicit in it, you have got to speak up. Yes, you. You might not feel like you have power, but you do. You do. Each and every one of you have the power to change the world. You just have to believe it. Yeah, so let me go ahead and switch things up a little bit. AG Daniel Cameron of Kentucky is a bum. Because instead of, going and, charging the murderers of Breonna Taylor. Today would be a good as day as ever to charge the murderers of Breonna Taylor. We could have did it, 2 months ago, but hey, here we are, let's go ahead and, knock it the fuck out. But what was he doing this weekend? Oh, he was too busy getting engaged. Now, you want to know why that really, really hurts? Because Breonna Taylor was engaged. Yeah, that's right. Remember when we said her fiance was arrested for shooting back and defending his home? She was engaged. She didn't get to, go through with her stuff. She didn't get to have her marriage. But your bum ass is over here celebrating, no mask, no nothing, because you think that it's all good. Fuck you. From the heart. Fuck you so much. There is no reason that those murderers are still walking these streets. No reason at all. Not a goddamn reason, except for the fact that this AG and this system allows it. So I need y'all to do something for me. I need you to write him. I need you to call him. I need you to send texts, emails. It doesn't matter. Contact this man. Bombard him and tell him the only job that he has right now as AG is to arrest the murderers of Breonna Taylor. And we will continue to ask for it every fucking day. Like, I don't know why y'all think this is just gonna go away. It's not. Like, we're not gonna stop. There has been protests every day, but there's no looting. So that's why you don't see it on the news, because there's an agenda to show that these protests aren't what they are. But it's a social revolution, and I give a damn what anybody has to say about it. But I do have something that I do want to talk about, because it's been consistently brought up in a lot of these pages that I'm on. A lot of people have this question, and it is this question of, can you be pro-black in an interracial relationship? Yo, I don't understand why this question is consistently proposed. Let me ask you a question. Do you care for black people? Do you want to see the best for black people? Do you want equality and economic empowerment for black people? Guess what? You're pro-black. Now, what does that have to do with who you decide to date, who you decide to marry, who you love? Nothing, correct? Right. You see, there's this thing that people are consistently misconstruing, and it's called Afrocentrism. You've heard of Eurocentric, right? It's what Western civilization is. It's this idea that the European ancestry is basically a superior type of ethnicity that basically is a default, right? So white is the default. White privilege, white supremacy, all of that kind of stuff goes all hand in hand. It's a Eurocentric type mindset. Afrocentric would be all black everything, like my man Lupe said in that song, all black everything, right? So it's the idea that the only way that you can support and improve the black community is to have a black spouse, is to have nothing but black kids, is to only work with black businesses, is to only shop black, is to only do everything, to a degree, a separatist mindset. And that's why a lot of people believe that if you're going to do an Afrocentric type of mindset, then yes, it would be contradictory for you to have a spouse that is outside of the race. But if you are simply pro-black and just fighting for the cause and the movement, then it don't fucking matter who you marry. Harry Belafonte. What about Thurgood Marshall? What about all these people who have had white spouses that have advanced the cause? Lena Horne. Like, come on. It's such an ignorant way of trying to alienate allies because you think that certain people don't live up to your ideal of blackness because they don't have the spouse that you think they should have. First of all, you shouldn't determine who anybody else is with except for your partner. And third, or second, whichever number, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But regardless, why is it that relevant to you who somebody's with? The same thing like with gay stuff. Like, if you're not gay, why do you care what somebody who is gay does? That silence is because there isn't really an answer. You're just really probably deflecting or projecting, one of the two, because there's no real reason why you would have any issue with homosexuality unless you deep down have some repressed, thoughts yourself. Because there's this thing that a lot of people want to do. They want to say that homosexuality isn't normal and isn't natural, but let me go ahead and break that down real quick before I get on up out of here. All right. Natural literally means found in nature, right? So there's over 1,500 different animal species that practice same-sex relationships. Were they all conditioned by shows like How to Get Away with Murder? Like, were they conditioned by sexual scenes? Huh? No. Because naturally, within their genetics, it's just what happened. So it is found in nature. We are animals ourselves. Therefore, it is natural to be a homosexual. It is not unnatural. Okay? Now, the other thing is normal. And normal is only decided by society, what they want to dictate as normal. And seeing as we live in a society that is heteronormative, it makes everything else that isn't abnormal. But that's wrong, because just because you say it's abnormal does not mean that it is. You're just looking at it from your own default perspective, and that's an issue. So y'all, stop doing that, okay? Pride Month just ended, but it doesn't mean that we have to stop doing what we're doing. Stop fighting for these causes, because we're going to fight every day, okay? To the day that we are gone, we will fight. And the last thing I want to say, y'all know I like my slogans and stuff like that. There are surges in this virus. What the numbers are, we'll figure out. But there's surges, okay? So the one thing that I want to leave y'all with, don't be a fucking ass, wear a fucking mask, okay? Don't be a fucking ass, wear a fucking mask. That's it. That's all you got to do. I'll see y'all next week.